Всем привет! Когда в России арестовывают какого-нибудь иностранца, то самый расхожий, самый привычный комментарий «ну вот, пополнил собой обменный фонд». Таким же комментарием могла бы и сопровождаться сегодняшняя история, но, к счастью, все закончилось хорошо. 25 октября в Биробиджане был сначала задержан, а потом и арестован гражданин Соединенных Штатов. Зовут его Томас, а в Ютубе его знают как блогера Sabbatical. О том, что было дальше, Sabbatical Томас рассказал мне сам в интервью. Томас, расскажите, пожалуйста, а вы как давно путешествуете в Россию? Это было ваше первое путешествие или вы как-то раньше уже приезжали?
Это был первый раз в России. Я началось в Санкт-Петербурге. И я хотел путешествовал из Санкт-Петербурга и в Владивостоке на поезде.
Из Петербурга во Владивосток на поезде?
Да.
Ого, сколько времени это заняло? Как долго? Неделю?
Я хотел 2 месяца, но how do I say that? It ended up
You can switch to English, no problem.
Okay, yeah. It did end up being 2 months, but a good portion of that was not traveling.
Скажите, пожалуйста, а почему вы ездите в Россию? То что вас привлекает? Что вам интересно в России?
I wanted to go to Russia because it's the largest country in the world. It's a place with many different cultures, a lot of history. It's massive. And as someone who made it my mission to try to go everywhere in the world and meet every different kind of person, Russia was a place that I'd always wanted to visit. I used to live in China for 6 years, and the whole time I was there, because I would meet many Russians while I was in China, and they would always recommend I go and visit, and I always thought someday I would go there and explore the country, but this was all before the current war in Ukraine, and things became much more complicated, but I still wanted to go.
Когда вы первый раз приехали в Россию?
The first time was it was in late August into September. So I think it was about August 25th when I first entered Russia, going into St. Petersburg from Estonia. And I then exited Russia into Kazakhstan and came back a second time. And that time I was more on the far eastern side of Russia. I went into Blagoveshchensk, and then from Blagoveshchensk I was going to take the train to Vladivostok. And then the Jewish Oblast, Birobidzhan, was in the middle of that. And I thought, this is just going to be a quick stop for one day.
То есть это была просто, вот в этот раз это была просто промежуточная остановка, такой отдых между, значит, поездкой из Казахстана во Владивосток.
Right, yeah, it was the первая остановка, the first stop. I may have also gone and stopped in Khabarovsk. Maybe I would have gone up to, I don't know, Sakhalin or something like that. But yeah, it was meant to just be a very small stop. I wasn't even sure if I was going to stop there. I thought about just skipping it and going to Khabarovsk, and I kind of wish I did.
Расскажите, пожалуйста, что случилось там в Биробиджане вашими глазами, с вашей точки зрения?
So basically, I ended up stopping there. And I learned that it used to be a region for the Jews, the Jewish Oblast. And when I'm traveling, I love places like this, which is like a very unique history. And not a lot of people outside of Russia know about this place. So I wanted to just go and talk to some of the people, learn more about the history, try and make a video, show my viewers. And in order to do that, after doing my research, I left the main city of Birobidzhan and began traveling even in the countryside. I wanted to go and visit like these old settlements that Jewish Russians had founded 100 years ago. And I followed these all the way up until the border with China, to a town called Leninskoye, a very Russian town with a Lenin statue. And it was not far from here that there is a bridge that connects Russia to China. You could see it on Google Maps and also Yandex Maps, I think. And my taxi driver, I didn't even know about this bridge. The man who was driving me around, he recommended like, why don't we go to this area? It's a cool bridge. I take tourists there all the time. And while we were in the area of this bridge, some migrant police come up and they ask, do I have a permit? Where's my passport? And they arrest me right there. And they ask, why are you here? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas you were supposed to have all this if you're going to be here. They told me this is a crime. It's not supposed to be a serious crime. It's only worth 500 rubles. You pay a fine and then you're supposed to be let go.
I think 5,000. No,
only 500.
Oh,
yeah, it was
cheap.
Very, very cheap. Yes, They told me that if you got a speeding ticket in Russia, you would pay more money. So yes, not very, very cheap. But the problem is they took me to this migrant police station, border police station. And it was there that I was supposed to fill out some paperwork and then pay this fine. But they received a call from Birobidzhan, which is the capital of the region. And after that call, they decided to instead put me into the local police jail. And from there, things just got worse and worse. After that, a few days later, the FSB, after interrogating me, they basically accused me of being a spy. And they asked me a lot of questions. They asked me, why do I speak Chinese? Like, what was my history in China? What is with my YouTube videos? Why are my YouTube videos so negative, so anti-Russia? Which is not true at all. Like, my videos were actually very positive at a time when it's almost dangerous, to make positive videos about Russia. And then they set up an operation where they released me from the police jail in Leninskoye. And then they put me in a taxi and they say, Thomas, you got to be free, but just go back to Birobidzhan and get your passport and get your luggage. This was actually a kind of operation where once I got there, they had literally 8 police officers waiting. They had a guy filming. They had a translator. They were setting up a fake crime. They had it so once I arrived, they pulled me out of the car and they said, identify yourself in Russian. And they asked for my passport. But I didn't have my passport because it was in the hotel apartment. And they knew this. That's how they were able to set this up. And as a result of this, they set up later a kind of ridiculous trial saying that I resisted the police. And I was sentenced to jail for 15 days. And they also charged me for my YouTube videos, because in my first video of Russia, again, a very positive video, which was encouraging people to visit, in my description, I mentioned once the word invasion, because I can't deny reality. I just wanted to say, yes, there was an invasion. This is after this. But to them, that was enough to be insulting the armed forces. And so I was sentenced for these two crimes. And then I had to spend those 15 days in jail.
Как вам понравилась российская тюрьма?
Я понимаю. Well, how did I like it? It was difficult. I mean, I've never been to prison in my life. I've never been to jail. And nobody at the jail spoke English at all. I think there might have been one person that spoke a minimum amount. And the whole time, the worst part was just not knowing if I could ever leave, because they had just put me there for literally a fake crime. And I thought they might continue doing this. The actual prison life itself, it wasn't fun. But as long as I knew that I could get out, I could bear it. In the prison, it was, I mean, from what I know about American prison, it's a bit different. You're basically trapped in a cell, and you spend basically the whole day there. To me, in American prison, this would be solitary confinement, where you're just in a room and like you can't talk to anybody. They did have one short period every day where you would go. It's supposed to be like the exercise time. And again, in America, I believe there's an area where you can like lift weights and you can even play basketball and stuff like that. Here in Biробиджане, it was just a cage where it was 10 by 10 square meters, and it kept snowing. There was ice. It was like all you could do was just walk around in this cage for about maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And that was your exercise time. Another notable thing was after my first day arriving there, the second day, the CEOs, the prison guards, they told me that they just received a call from their boss and they needed to move me to a different cell. And in that cell was another prisoner. So I had a cellmate for 1 week. And some people have told me afterward that man may have had a deal with the prison or the FSB to try to get information from me. I have no idea. But that's basically my life there.
Насколько я понимаю, вас пытались обвинить в шпионаже.
That was the first thing they interrogated me about. And I think that was the charge they wanted. But I think it became very clear that I was not a spy at some point. And it's my understanding that in Russia, there is enough judicial process where if they want to charge you as a spy, they need a lot of evidence, and maybe they felt they didn't have enough. So after that, they started trying to find drugs on me. They drug tested me 2 times. And I feel there was psychological manipulation because the first drug test that I did, they told me that I had tested positive for methamphetamines, which I've never taken in my life. And even though that was not a real result, it was a mistake. They didn't tell me it was a mistake. And so they left me to like think that maybe I had drugs in my system and maybe I was going to go to prison for like years, many years. And then later they came back while I was in the prison the second day. They came and took my luggage. They took all the medicine there. They took a big group photo acting like they just caught a big criminal. And they wanted to go and test all of it for drugs. They were, I think, hoping to find like marijuana or cocaine or something. And thank God, I had like not even a trace in my bag. Because as you know, the drug penalties in Russia are very severe. And I could have been there for like 6, 7, 8 years.
Раньше вы подозревали, что в России, скажем так, не все в порядке с законом.
This was my impression. Yeah. And I knew before going to Russia, a lot of my friends and even my family asked me not to go there. They were very afraid. And we obviously, in the West, we've heard about the Soviet Union, and we know that things have not gotten better, sadly, in recent years. But it was my mistake to think that if I went there and just didn't do anything wrong, in my opinion, I just tried to be kind to people, just, go about my day, then the system would be fair to me. But it wasn't. It proved to me that just being American or probably German, French, if you do anything to get the attention of the police, you can be accused of being a spy.
Вы слышали о случае Иэна Гершковича, корреспондента Wall Street Journal, которого обменяли в Америку, как раз обвинив в России в шпионаже?
I did hear about him. I also heard about, of course, Brittany Griner, the WNBA player. And again, this was my mistake. I thought I could be different. Nothing would happen to me. And, thank God also, like, Evan Gershkovich was there for 2 years. And when they arrested me, that was my greatest fear, that's what was going to happen. Because I'm not a huge celebrity, but I do have a large following on YouTube. And I really worried that this was something the Russian government could use to influence like the US. But maybe, I don't know what happened. Maybe because they just did a prisoner swap earlier this year, or maybe because of the election, or maybe just because they had nothing they could charge me with. Actually, now that I say that, I do think if they had managed to find drugs on me, then it may have moved in that direction afterward.
Собираетесь еще когда-нибудь приехать в Россию?
I would love to. I would love to go back. There were so many places I wanted to see. Because as you know, beyond this stuff, it's a beautiful country. It's like stuff like Lake Baikal and, everything, the Sakhalin Islands, the Kuril Islands, stuff like that. But I can't go back, I don't think. Officially, they have banned me from returning for 5 years. And honestly, even after 5 years, now that I've spoken publicly about this, I don't think I'd feel safe going back.
Что думаете про войну России в Украине? Вы уже упоминали слово invasion.
My thinking was, I was always in support of Ukraine, because I don't support any larger country attacking a smaller country and just, taking land. And just also we're in 2024 now. Like, just there's no need for wars like this anymore. But again, I wanted to visit every country. And in some ways, I know that's kind of selfish. But I knew that if I went to Ukraine and then went to Russia, it would be way more dangerous in Russia. So I wanted to do it in reverse order. And I hope, ironically, because of my mistake, I've shown what can happen to you if you visit Russia, if you go to Russia as a tourist. And I think, hopefully, I've done much more good in that sense than I could have done by just visiting Ukraine.
Как вы полагаете, то, что случилось с вами, может произойти с абсолютно любым иностранцем, американцем, который приедет в Россию, или просто вы оказались в неподходящем месте в ненужное время?
Well, since I've left, I've learned of other foreigners that have had similar situations. I've learned of a British man who was riding a bike across Siberia, and they arrested him for several months. People have left comments on my video talking about being arrested in Kamchatka or Sakhalin or all these places around the country and just being accused of some random crime. And while I don't think that everyone who goes to Russia will get arrested, that's obviously not true. Clearly, there is an unhealthy risk, and sadly. And even just flying into Moscow, you will be questioned. You will be asked, why are you coming here? They'll go through your phone. They'll check everything, even your secret photos. They'll go through your emails. So at the very best, you will still have your privacy invaded going there. And again, this is very sad because I really enjoyed meeting the Russian people. But this is beyond them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Thomas.
Thank you. Спасибо большое.
Несмотря на то, что это история с хэппи-эндом, будьте осторожны при поездках в Россию, особенно если вы гражданин другого государства. Надеюсь, граждане России осторожны по умолчанию. Спасибо, что посмотрели это видео. Поставьте лайк и подпишитесь, пожалуйста, на канал.